All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, fellow Pandemonium travelers, this is Seattle Pandemonium Shutdown Day 123, I believe. I got my count wrong yesterday, and I should just quit the internet. 123 days of whatever this is, whatever we're in now. Phasing, are we still doing phasing? Is that still a thing? I don't know. More people getting laid off. Finally hit my house. Not me, but the girl. Laid off. It's rough. Very little notice, but I wanted to try and, now she's starting to feel what a lot of other people have been feeling for months now. And, it's our turn. So, the best laid plans of mice and men, right? So I wanted to reflect on the current moment and how in this current moment we are also dealing with the intersectional left. And this is a phrase, that's a kind of a dense phrase, right? This is the wokeness thing that for short that people have been talking about. And it's rearing its ugly head in bizarre ways, and not all of them are recent, but some of them are. And something I saw yesterday, maybe I'll include the link with the video here, is from a Seattle city department. I forget what department it was. They had a meeting, interviews with specifically white employees to discuss their essentially inherent racism in terms of their awareness, of things like colonialism and, suppression of black and brown and LGBT people, and specifically white employees, though. Now, aside from that obviously being a racist thing to do, and to not have it be applied to everyone, I would almost think it's illegal if it's true. The content of the meeting or the interviews seems as though it's racially targeted and is about a specific ideology as well. But wokeness is playing a role in all of this right now because the idea of intersectionality and society is that we are supposed to not just be creating equality. This is what Brett Weinstein went over at Evergreen. This isn't about equality, it's about equity. And equity means not making everyone equal in terms of their current treatment, but correcting for every possible thing that could have harmed anyone up until right now. So that's everything from reparations to white people washing black people's feet, I guess. That's a thing people are doing. Now, it's one of these things where me saying this, some intersectional leftists will already be thinking that I'm being bigoted because I don't care about the struggling of the colonized people of wherever, etc., and so on and so forth. I'm just saying you can file that right next to all of our other problems, and this can be your thing to worry about. I'm just going to focus on trying to be nice to people. I don't care what they look like. I'm just trying to get through this thing with everyone else. And I don't see apologizing for your whiteness as a very healthy thing to do. I don't see how it's helpful for non-white people. I don't really see how it's good for you to feel as though you are responsible for what other people have done. That's not exactly how, real life works, in my opinion. So, the wokeness, I don't mean to be glib when I say that. So, this James Lindsay character was on the Rogan podcast 5 days ago, I guess, and broke down all of this stuff. He did a really great interview with Jack Murphy live as well. about how there is a disconnect in the rationality of the sort of the intersectional leftists, the wokestannies, that there's Kafka traps, there's so Kafka trap is kind of like so how often do you beat your wife, right? Like you're not allowed a real answer to that question, right? If you try to ignore racism, you say, well, I'm not racist, then you're not interrogating your racism, which is racist. But if you do notice your racism, then you're racist, so you're still a racist, right? So there's almost like no way out of it, and it's very clever actually in terms of rhetoric, because it is emotional. People think of racism as being shallow and mean and barbaric and like, outdated even. They're progressive, and I too have been, I want to say, propagandized to about the values of our diverse society. I mean, maybe it's true, maybe it's not, but we were all fed throughout the 80s, 90s, and into the aughts, like endless, positive notions about diversity, right? Now you're not allowed to notice any negative ones, lest you be called a racist, at which point we can't have conversations about, say, black on black violence, at least not in the current moment, because that's seen as a distraction from the police killing, black people. Now, I would argue both are relevant, and in fact, you're far more likely, young black men are far more likely to be killed by other young black men than they are by the police. But again, these are separate problems, and we can walk and chew gum at the same time. Now, to look at that problem, black on black crime, is that then a racial issue if I'm white and noticing it? Because I also hear about it. And we hear about the bad living conditions in black neighborhoods and these kinds of trends. Go, push the gas, there you go. And so to notice it, right? Does that violate the Wokestani code? I don't know. Because it seems as though I'm caring about a black issue and the black community. But if I'm doing it in the wrong way or with the wrong words, then I'm then the enemy and I'm doing it wrong, right? I'm caring wrong, right? So again, it's sort of this constantly shifting set of even, the language you're supposed to use, like new acronyms and things emerge seemingly like on a weekly or monthly basis. I don't know. And you're not, in a sense, you're not meant to keep up with it. It is a in-group sort of form of slang that they use. I'm gonna say they, people who traffic in this stuff, they use it to be exclusionary. They know who's in and not, and who's up to date with all the latest in the woke concepts and methodology and trending and everything. So they talk to each other that way, and they can tell whether you're on board with all of it and how into it you are. So it's just in-group slang, basically. Now, are the woke people, the woke intersectional activist types, the join the online hate mobs and get people canceled for making an okay sign because it's secret white supremacy symbol that somehow everyone knows? Is it easy to mock? Yes, sometimes it is wacky and silly. It's like silly the level that it goes to, which is what James Lindsay revealed with their hoax. They hoaxed these papers and fooled these journals into publishing stuff that was just completely made up, like weird intersectional nonsense. It's easy to pick on that and kind of belittle how silly and frivolous they can be, like policing what people do with their hands, or clapping can be triggering to people, so we don't clap, we do jazz hands at conventions. And I can kind of get there. I understand that there's a sort of compassion at a certain level. This is people caring, right? They're caring about justice, they're caring about equality, they're caring about the marginalized people in society. That's completely understandable. I mean, whether I'm actively doing something or not to help anyone else in the world, that's a me problem, not really a you problem. You can tell me, point out all the problems that people have, and I can choose to, take on responsibility for that. But at the same time, you're talking about other people. I don't necessarily have control over anyone else. I too can look at problems. I'm looking at problems like global water shortage. Like, it's coming. It very much is coming, and you can crunch some numbers and probably come up with a pretty accurate deadline of when it's really gonna start. And global energy scarcity. This is why I'm getting wooed by the next gen nuclear argument. I'm being shown things that look very good, and it looks like we're gonna have to do that. I don't know if we actually have an alternative, but this is one of the problems I have with the wokeism stuff, okay? The stuff with the city council, or with the city, doing these interviews. I have friends who work in tech that are having their, language guides changed to not use words like master and slave. You got realtors changing their verbiage from master bedroom to main bedroom or whatever. Is it a little tiny thing? Yes. Is it absurd? Yes. Does it matter? Well, I don't know, but here's the point. The point is, master bedroom has nothing to do with slavery. It was invented in like the 20s, if Lindsay was to be, believed, for like a Sears catalog. It doesn't have anything to do with like the master of a house or anything. It's a little obnoxious thing that doesn't really make any sense and isn't necessary. That's kind of my take on it. And all of this stuff, we have to spend all this time working on all this stuff, and I don't know if it's helpful to anyone. Is this actually, is white people reading White Fragility and analyzing their racism going to help non-white people? Or does it just make white people all neurotic and like pat themselves on the back for, doing what another white person told them to do? And how they're racist and they're a bad person, because they don't examine racism that they didn't know they had. And I just don't know. And again, is it helping the people that it was supposed to help? Or is it just alienating people, and like people like me, to just calling it woke? Like, instead of, uplifting the marginalized people of society and creating a more egalitarian society, it just becomes that woke nonsense. Because they end up coming after Paw Patrol because it shows, children's show depicts a positive portrayal of a cop, but it's an animated dog. I mean, I'm trying here, and I'm just really, not really seeing how all of this stuff, the policing language and downplaying, someone could know all about the history of, I don't know, Native Americans, but if they're white, then you'll discount their opinion and upvote, I guess, the opinion of an indigenous person because their lived experience is then trumps maybe what somebody spent their entire life studying. I just feel like that's not really how we deal with almost any other issue, right? We go with expertise, we go with experts, and experts build up their reputation and their knowledge base and, learn about things that aren't their lived experience. But this is another problem with the wokeness, is being objective. They're coming for math in Seattle. I mean, they're saying, we need to decolonize or look at how mathematics and the idea of objectivity are actually colonial oppression. I'm not kidding. This went around. This was actually 5-6 months ago, I think, when that story first came out. I mean, they're going after objectivity. I don't know what to even do with that. That's not sane. That's not sane. That's not how we cope with anything else in the real world. So, anyways, not pandemic related or pandemonium related specifically, but the wokeness is here, and in the current moment, it's being leveraged to do a lot. So, I don't know. This video could get me in trouble, maybe. We'll see. That's enough for me for one day. Bye.